What are the formalities, ma'am? Hello.
Sir?
What are the formalities? Is there any introduction or something like
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that? Right. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Good morning to you all. And I request Dr. Manangavan to introduce and invite our Professor Dr. Manjalan, sir, to this great occasion for session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Please.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Commerce and own behalf, I welcome all to the 2 weeks capacity building program. At this juncture, I would like to introduce our resource person, Dr. R. Panchalan, Professor in the Department of Commerce, Institute of Distance Education, University of Madras. Prior to this, he has worked as a faculty in the School of Management Studies, IGNOU, New Delhi, Jawahar Science College, Neyveli, and Tandai Hans Rover College, Perambalur. Sir has worked as a director in charge in the Institute of Distance Education, University of Madras, for a period of 1 year. Sir has his area of research in HRM and organizational behavior. He is one of the trainer in L&T, Kanchipuram. Sir has taken various sessions in the orientation and refresher courses conducted by academic staff colleges and of Bordiyar University and University of Madras. With this brief introduction, I welcome Professor Panchalan sir to deliver this lecture. Now I hand over the session to you, sir. Please, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So first of all, I thank the Alhappa University and the Department of Commerce for providing this great opportunity to share my ideas with the participants from various institutes. So I think in the ICSSR capacity building program, if I contribute something for the development of knowledge of the participants, I will feel very proud for that. So the topic allocated for me is review of literature. That is the significance of review of literature in the social science. So in this, we will discuss what is the review of literature, what are the importance of review of literature in the research, how to prepare the review of literature, how to present the review of literature in the research. So all these points we will discuss in the session. So first of all, I just want to share the PPT with you, then we can discuss. Yeah. Okay. I think now we can start. Right. So now we can start the session. So when we take the research, particularly the social science research, we should start the research with the review of literature. But some of the researcher start the research without adequate literature review, then ultimately they will face many problems. Particularly, they cannot complete the research project within a stipulated time. Because when we take the research must be completed, must be done within the stipulated time. Then the money resource is very important. And if you are doing the research without proper planning, then you have to prolong the research. Then at the end, you may not be in a position to complete the research. Because when you do the research, you are doing the research with the trial and error basis. Fortunately, you can complete the research within time or may not be possible because your approach is not a scientific one. So when the research will be a scientific, a systematic one. So when you start the research, after making various review of literature related to your topic, because when you review the literature,
Excuse
you
me.
can understand the problem of the study well.
Sir, excuse me.
And yeah,
Sir, PPT. Sir, please check the PPT, sir.
you want PPT?
No, sir, it's not visible, sir. No.
No, I am not now showing the PPT.
Okay, sir.
Just
Okay.
I am giving a brief introduction.
Right.
Okay, now. So when I need, I will take the PPT.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So what I said. So when you do the research without a proper literature review, then you may not be in a position to understand well the research problem. You may not know. So what was the work done by the previous researcher on this topic? You may not know what was the methodology adopted by the previous researcher for this topic. And you may not know what were the statistical tools adopted by the previous researcher for this type of study. So everything will be known when you conduct a proper literature review. Okay, now I come to the PPT. Okay. So in the review of literature, we are going to discuss, as I already pointed out, what is review of literature, why review of literature should be done, then when we should start the review of literature, from where we can collect the literature review, literature-related literature, then how we should prepare the review of literature, then how long the review of literature should be carried out. So whether only at the time of beginning the research or at the time of conducting the research or till the research is completed. So these are the questions we are going to answer in the session on review of literature or in the significance of review of literature. Okay. So just I want to know how many of you are from Tamil Nadu and how many participants are participating in this program. So any organizer? So organizer, please share me. So how many participants are participating in this program and how many are from Tamil Nadu and how many from other states?
For 250 from within the states, sir. Remaining 300 other than Tamil Nadu.
Oh, how many participants?
620, sir.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, but regularly 150 up to 200, sir. We are insisting, we are requesting them to join, sir, more, sir.
Right. Okay, then I really feel very proud because so when the number of participants are high, so at least we can do something. Okay, right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Right. Okay, before I touch on the review of literature, what is research? I think this is the point must be discussed already by various speakers. But anyway, so it is better to start the session with the clarity on the research. So research refers to the search for new facts of knowledge. So when you want to gain new knowledge, new facts, so when you want to know the new things happened in the world, it is better to conduct the research. So the search for new facts or knowledge can be called as research. Then when you take the definition given by various authors on the research, so every author must touch on this. So research is a scientific method of investigation to find a solution to an issue or problem, whatever may be. So here we have to emphasize it is a scientific method. Scientific method means a proper methodology must be adopted for conducting the research. Suppose if the methodology adopted by you is not correct, then the entire study will become waste. You cannot get fruitful information. Therefore, you must know the methodology to be adopted for the study. Then the methodology must be fit to your study. That is very, very important. Then only it can be called as a scientific method of investigation. Or another point is just the another words of the previous one. So research is the application of scientific method in searching for the truth about particular phenomena. So when you want to know the truth about a particular phenomena, then you have to adopt a certain method for knowing that. The method should be a scientific one, systematic one. That is a point. Then when you take the definition given by Redman and Mori, they define the research as a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. A systematic effort to gain new knowledge. For example, there are various theories on motivation. So all these theories were formulated after conducting the research only. And when you take the management, most of you might be knowing the Hawthorne experiment. The Hawthorne experiment was a systematic effort, systematic study, why people behave like this, or what is the importance of interrelationship in the workplace. And similarly, when you take the social science, when you take poverty and hunger, suppose if you want to know how to eradicate the poverty, then you must know what are the causes for the poverty, how many people are suffering from this poverty, then what are the schemes that can help to eliminate or reduce the poverty. So first of all, we have to design the study in a systematic manner, in a scientific manner. Then the another definition shows research is a movement from known to the unknown. For example, nowadays almost we are, the entire world is suffering from the COVID-19 problem. And due to the COVID-19, a lot of people lost their life. And because of the COVID problem, a lot of people lost their job, or there was a cut in the salary. So all these problems we know, but how to control the corona, then the research is needed. So how the corona is formed, how it is spread, then what are the medicines can be given for controlling this. So for knowing that, you have to conduct the research. That is the research is a movement from known to the unknown. Suppose if you take the behavioral science, all of you might be knowing that. So when we take the individual behavior, an individual, when he is alone, he behaves differently. But the same individual, when he is in a group and he behaves abnormally, differently, what are the causes for that? For that also you can conduct the research. This is movement from known to the unknown. So like that, in the research, when you want to move from known to the unknown, you should go in a proper direction. I think the next slide will highlight this. So research is known to the unknown. For example, if you want to go someplace, first of all, what should you know? You should know your destination, your proper destination. Then you have to think what is the best route for reaching the destination. Then what should be the mode of transport, that how much we require for reaching the place. So everything must be analyzed before you start your journey. your journey. Suppose if you are not knowing your destination properly, then it will be difficult for you. That's why there is a saying, so if you are not knowing where to go, then any road will take you. So what is the meaning of this? So the point is, so when you don't know where to go, where is your destination, then any road will take you. That means when you are not clear about the destination, you can wander here and there because nothing will happen to you. But so when you know your destination, or in other words, we can say, so when you know your research objectives, then you think how to achieve the objectives. What are the tools can be adapted for achieving the objectives? Suppose if you take the data, what are the tools we have to adopt for collection of data? Then regarding the analysis, what are the statistical tools to be applied for analysis of the data? Because research is a scientific method of studying the problem. So when you want to reach your goal, achieve your goal, then you have to think all these points. Okay, right. Okay. And when you go through this, the research methodology, you might be knowing that. So before starting the research, you must have a clear idea about the statement of problem. That means the problem of the study. So without knowing the problem, definitely you will not carry out the research in a systematic way. For example, when you take the social science research, for example, if you take the e-governance system. So when the government introduced the e-governance, then we must know what is the impact of e-governance. So whether the e-governance system positively impacted in the society or negatively impacted in the society. Or similarly, when you take the demonetization. So when the government introduced the demonetization, how the demonetization impacted on business, whether it has a positive impact or a negative impact. So, similarly, when you take another problem, for example, I tell you, nowadays the corporate social responsibility, the topic is a very recent one, because the government made the corporate social responsibility as a mandatory activity. And when it was made as a mandatory activity, I hope all of you might be knowing that many industrialists opposed that. They have not accepted the mandatory of CSR as wholeheartedly, because when it is implemented as a mandatory activity, they don't have option. They have to spend the 2% of the profit of average of previous 3 years. Now it is compulsion on their part to spend. So now the question is, when we take the CSR amount spent on CSR, whether the company really spend on that or not, then how many companies are really spend the CSR amount? Because the act says that when a company fulfills certain criteria, they are legally liable to spend. But many corporates, they said they don't have that much expertise on this or that problem, this problem. Because of that, we are not able to spend like the money on CSR this year like that. So unless you conduct a proper research, we may not know whether the company spent the amount on CSR and whether the amount reached the beneficiaries properly and whether the beneficiaries benefited from that. What are the social impact on CSR on the targeted group? So these are the problems will be known only after conducting the proper research. So before you start the research, then you should understood well the problem of the study, statement of the problem, then I can say that the review of literature is a lighthouse. So how the review of literature is a lighthouse? Because it gives a proper direction to the researcher. So how to proceed the research? What are the factors to be considered for conducting the research? What's the methodology to be adopted? Whether we should go for interview schedule, whether we should go for questionnaire method, or whether should go for experimental method, or whether we should go for observation method. So all these things can be known when you conduct the research review of literature, because the previous researcher must have completed the research after doing this only. Therefore, we can know from their experience. So I can always say that the intelligent people always learn from others' experience. An average person commit mistake and learn from him, from his experience. But when we take the intelligent people, they learn from the experience of others. So when you want to learn from the experience of others, definitely the review of literature is very much required. So in that sense, I can say the review of literature is a lighthouse. Okay. I want to here highlight the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I want to share with the participant whether you people have gone through the book, The 7 Habits of Effective People. Any one of you? So you can share, because instead of just one-way lecture, I hope if you share, that will be more interactive. Any one of you?
Sir, could you please explain what you have said?
So I asked the question, so whether you have gone through the book 7 Habits of Effective People written by Stephen R. Covey.
No, sir. No.
No, sir.
No? Okay. Then you can ask, sir, what is the relevant of that book here in the literature review? You want to ask that question?
Definitely, sir.
Definitely. Yes. Okay, I got the point. So why I am talking about the book? So that book highlights the characteristics of the effective people. So what is called effectiveness? Is there any idea about the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? Any one of you?
Yes, sir.
What is yes, please share me.
When you are using minimum of resources, producing maximum output, we're talking about efficiency.
Yeah, very
effectiveness, what is the impact we are getting from that, whatever we are doing?
Okay, impact, right. Any other idea about this?
Effectiveness is doing the right thing.
Yeah, very good.
And
Yeah.
efficiency is doing the right thing in an optimal way, in a right way. The optimal way in a optimal it's not to excess or not too low, in an optimal way.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think you have touched the first person. He talked very nicely about the meaning of efficiency. So when you maximize the output with the minimum input, that is efficiency. I accept. Then I think you told about doing the right things. So when we take the efficiency is doing things right. Doing things right. That means as a manager, you are expected to utilize minimum resources. At the same time, you should maximize the output. Yes. And when we take the effectiveness refers to doing right thing right. Right thing right. Is there any difference between these two slogans? Doing things right or doing right thing right? Any one of you? So here I said two slogan. One is doing things right, and another one doing right thing right. Is there any difference between these two lines?
Sir, if
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Then which one can be called as efficiency and which one can be said as effectiveness?
So efficiency is doing the right things actually.
Yeah, yeah, very good, very good.
Uh,
Then,
effectiveness is effectiveness is doing the things right. Doing the things
no, no,
right.
no, no, no. So effectiveness means doing the right thing right.
Yeah.
Efficiency means
Effectiveness is
doing things right.
doing
So
things
whatever
right.
maybe, whether it is correct or not, you are doing that in a better way. That is efficiency. Effectiveness means, first of all, you should identify whether it is correct or not. Then you done it correctly, rightly. Okay, you got the point?
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
Right, right, right. Okay. And I think, have you heard about one book on, so how many of you are from commerce and management? I don't know. But there is one very popular book on the competent manager. So the competent manager that was written by Richard Wyatt. Have you heard about? Particularly
Yes,
that.
sir.
Yes, yes. Have you gone through that book? The Competent Manager by Richard Wyatt. Have you gone through?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
But exactly don't remember how was that. What was the things in that book? I have gone through. Yeah,
Oh.
in my bachelor's, I've gone through.
Oh, right, right. Actually, so when we take the managers, so we cannot say all the managers are very efficient. What the Richard Wyatt did, he identified around 2,000 efficient managers. Then he conducted a study on what are their characters, how the characters of effective people different from the mediocre performers. So that was the study about that. So why I am talking about the book uh, 7 Habits of Effective People. So in this, the author Stephen Covey highlighted the characteristics of effective people. So he highlighted 7 habits in the book. If I want to read that. The first one, be proactive. Then begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Then think win-win. Then seek first to understand and then to be understood. Then synergize. Then sharpen the saw. So why I am talking about this book in the review of literature or in the research? So the point is, the researcher must have certain qualities. Are your people accept this? The researcher requires certain qualities.
yes,
So
sir.
unless a researcher possesses certain qualities, then it will be very challenging task for him to conduct the research. Suppose even if he completed the research, the output of the research may not be very useful one, because the researcher requires certain qualities. So just I want to correlate the 7 habits of the effective people with the researcher, with the quality of the researcher. First one, be proactive. So be proactive means the initiative. So the initiative must start on their own. For example, you might have come across some students. So unless the research guide says he won't do anything, so he won't do anything. Without proper direction, he cannot do anything. So always he is waiting for some direction from the research guide. So this type of quality will not help him. So the initiative, because he is the researcher, it is his responsibility to do the research, and it is his responsibility to complete the work in a particular time, and it is his responsibility to publish the papers. Therefore, the initiative must come from him. That is about the, that is the true author. Right. Right. Okay. Listener, I think don't disturb. Second one, begin with the end in mind. So what is the meaning of begin with the end in mind? Is there any, is the point is related to the research? Begin with the end in mind.
Yes, sir, actually.
Yes.
The end should be, we should have an idea about the end. Without having a knowledge, what we're going to do, it is like a kind of narrow down towards what point we're actually focusing on.
Yeah.
So the particular point focus is not there in the research, it will affect the overall procedure. It costs you high. When you do not have an idea of the end, it costs you high, your time will dry, and that will affect the overall completion of the project work. So in that way, review of literature is required, the focus on end in mind.
Yeah. Because so all the research are conducted with certain goals, or we can say research objectives or research questions. Your study must answer the research questions. Your study must answer the objectives of the study. So we can say the end, that means the end in mind means the objectives. So you must conduct the research to achieve the objectives. Suppose if you are not knowing the objectives of the study, if you are not knowing the research questions, or if you are not knowing the problem of the study, then the study will not be done within the time, or the study will not be done in an effective way. Therefore, you should keep always keep in mind the you should start
End in mind.
the end in mind. Yeah, that is a point. Very good, very good. Then another effective characteristic is put first things first. So what put first things first? What is the meaning of this? Put first things.
I actually believe that, sir. First thing in first, actually, it is like the objectives. Whatever objectives we are saying, we should go based on that, I think.
Yeah. Actually, here the author emphasizes you prioritize. Suppose if you take the activities, there are certain activities which must be done first, immediately. There are certain activities that can be postponed later, that can be done later. So the thing is, you prioritize the events. Actually, in the research, we talk about the research design. Have you heard about the research design? What is the meaning of a research design?
It's a blueprint of the research.
Yeah, it is a blueprint of the study. So when you prepare the blueprint of your study, that gives a proper direction to you. Even before we start the construction of the house, we prepare the blueprint of the house because that gives the direction. So like that, in the research also, the effective researcher always prepare the research design, and he prioritize this, which one must be done. So in that way, the review of literature must be done at the beginning. Some people always depend on the researcher guide. Don't do that. So you start, first of all, you identify the problem, then you conduct various literature survey. That will help you. Better understand the problem of the study. Therefore, you can able to prioritize. That is, put first things first. Then I am not taking that another point thing win-win. Okay, that is not that much related to the quality of the researcher, but we can correlate, but straight away we cannot correlate. But when we take the seek first to understand and then to be understood, the thing is, as a researcher, first of all, you must observe the expectation of your research guide, what he expects from you. Then what is his style? Sometimes, because why I am talking about this, in various cases, sometimes the conflict between the guide and the student arises, And because of this, the guide may not be affected that much, but the scholar will get affected because of the conflict. Then because of this, there will be delay in the submission of a research project. Therefore, as a researcher, try to understand the expectation of your guide. Then you try to prepare the work according to his, or you share. So this is my style. And you then when you discuss, then both of you can come to the conclusion. Then synergize means, so this is a proper coordination between the research guide and yourself. So he discussed, the author discussed the synergize from different approaches, particularly that is applicable in the industry and other thing. So here I take only the researcher and the research guide. So when there is proper understanding between the researcher and the research guide, in other words, when there is a proper synergy, then the things will go very smoothly. Then the research will be conducted in a better way. Then the last one, sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw means, so you should make self-renewal. So the researcher must make self-renewal. Self-renewal means, so here again I touch on the literature review only. So when the researcher focus on the the previous work conducted by the previous researcher, that will help him. Then you will always learn the new thing. That I can say, always learn the new thing, or sharpen your idea. Sharpen your idea. When you can sharpen your idea, so when you read more, that means when you review more literature. I think just I want to share one short story discussed by the author. I hope that can be easily understood by all of you. So the point is, there was two woodcutters. They involved in cutting the wood. So most of the two woodcutters doing the similar job. But the thing is, the woodcutter number one, he completed the work immediately, shortly. And when we take the woodcutter 2, then that person takes more time. Then there was a discussion about how the first person able to complete the work before the time allotted, and the second person took more time. When they discussed, they identified the reason for that. The point is, so when we take the first woodcutter, so like the second woodcutter, he also do the work. Then after some times he takes the rest. And the second person also, when he do the work, he also takes the rest. But the first person, what he does, so after taking rest for some time, then again he will sharpen the axe before starting the work. But the second person, when he takes rest, he takes the rest completely without sharpening the axe or saw. Obviously, when the two persons start the work again, the first person can easily complete the work, because during the rest time also he did sharpening the saw or sharpening the axe. So that helped him to cut the wood very fast. That is the same thing applicable here. That means when the researcher conducted proper literature survey, definitely he can complete the research work within the stipulated time or prior to the stipulated time, compared to the other researcher who is not done the literature review properly. So this is the small comparison between the person who conduct the review of literature, adequate review of literature, or the person who is not focusing that much on the review of literature. I hope now you might have understood why I have correlated the 7 habits of highly effective people with the quality of the researcher required. So is anyone want to share about this? Anyone want to add with this? Hello? So I
No,
don't
sir. No,
make
no,
the session
no.
as interactive because if it is interactive, I think it will be useful.
The relevance of English literature is said to be totally realized by most of our researchers because precisely because every research is to be grounded on review of literature. Without having adequate depth understanding of review of literature, there is no point in pursuing a research. It is where we are going to identify the gap. It is where we are going to formulate the hypothesis. Where we need to identify the the variables. Without variables, no research is possible.
Yes. That is okay.
As a researcher and as a guide, I used to insist upon. In Europe, I had the opportunity to visit some of the universities abroad. Something there. In nearly 1 year, every scholar has to spend on methodology and review of literature. So that much of importance, significance is insisted upon research methodology, so review part. But here in India, only many scholars, at the last moment only scholars are going to refer some of the reviews. Incorporate in that case. It's a very unscientific approach.
Okay. So you are very much correct, sir, because even I had a very bitter experience. Actually, I admitted one gentleman for a PhD. Then I at one stage I forced him. This is at least you should go for review of literature this time. So nowadays, previously when we were doing the research in 90s, I hope all of the seniors must be knowing that the difficulties faced by us, because we have to roam here and there for libraries. Then we have to search the articles, that means journal and books, etc. Then we started literature review work. But nowadays, even from the online, you can get more journal. You are having more access. Then there are so many data centers also there for literature review. But the people is not focusing that much on the review of literature. So when I take the experience from that gentleman, okay, then after insisting him, he accepted. Yes, sir. So I am going for IIM Bangalore. Then I said, okay, that is also a very good place for collection of literature. You go there. Yes. Then he went there. Then he collected some volumes of the literature related to his study. Actually, the topic was on HR competencies. So in the present situation or in the present competitive environment, what are the challenges faced by the HR manager? Then to address the challenges, what are the skills required? This is like mapping for HR manager. That was the topic allocated for him. Then what he did, so he collected the literature. You want to share something? Just let me complete.
COVID positive.
I think some cross-checking or something, I don't know. Okay. Then that is what the gentleman did. He collected the literature. Then he came to my room. Sir, I have collected the literature. Now you just mark the literature from where to where I have to type. Then I got astonished. What is this fellow is doing? Because the fellow is not ready to go through the literature collected by him. Then he was not ready to take hints. Then he was not ready to take the relevant points. Then the literature review must be prepared. But He just asked me to mark the literature. So from where to where I have to type. So this is the style followed by some of the researcher. So I think someone pointed out spending more time on the review of literature will make the person to complete the research study in a short period. That is my idea. Okay. Right. So I think this is already discussed. And one more thing, the point I liked from that book is this is the words of Stephen Covey. Just I read the words. I hope you can understand the importance of the proper direction for the work. So if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. This is the words of Stephen Covey. So in that begin with the end in mind, he touched this point. If the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. Suppose if you want to put the ladder in the right wall, then you must conduct various research studies. That is the point. So when you want to proceed your research in the right direction, I think the review of literature is very, very required. As someone said, unless you conduct proper review of literature, you cannot understand the problem of the study. Unless you go through the review of literature, you may not be knowing the variables to be selected or to be used for the study. Then you may not be knowing the research gap, because nowadays in the research we ask what is the research gap identified by you, because your study must be done to fill the research gap. That is the recent trend in the research. Therefore, to identify the research gap, conducting the review of literature is very, very important. Okay, right. Okay, this is one sayings about the research. The research is to see what everybody else has seen, and I think what nobody else has thought. Okay, is anyone can share something about this saying?
Yes, sir. Actually, it is a kind of innovation, being innovative. Being innovative.
Yes. So here we can touch on one quality of the successful researcher or effective researcher. An effective researcher need the creativity and innovation. Yes. So unless he possesses the creativity and innovation, he will do the old things only. He will do the old things. So the topic adopted by him will be same. Will be a very routine one. Recently, I think just 1 year back, there was one scholar made a presentation in the public viva exam. The topic was the labor welfare measure in public sector undertaking. So in Kadalur district, Tamil Nadu, there is one public sector undertaking, Neyveli Lignite Corporation. In that, the candidate has done the research on labor welfare measure in public sector undertaking. So how many of you think that this is a worthful topic, or what is your reaction about this? Is it a new and worthful topic? Any one of you?
It is not a new, sir, but it is a worthful only.
Worthful only.
Yes, sir. At times it is worthful. What I mean is different behavior and different activity may be done by anyone. So we need to understand each and every individual's behavior and attitude, preference, interest, taste, everything. So the thing will go change, because every decade the idea, the preference, interest of people is changed. So we need to update it, which means we need to add an extra points in each and every activity which is done earlier. So adding extra points is what we can say a kind of innovation in a particular field.
Okay.
So in that mean, it is useful, I believe.
Oh. But when we take the labor welfare measure, particularly in the public sector undertaking, so when you take the public sector undertaking, so normally they will follow the norms or the rules prescribed in the Act. And is there any major changes in the labor welfare measure Act? I don't think. Is there any major changes?
So actually, at present, it is not being required. Whereas, if anything is affecting the whole community, during that time, the labor welfare measure is they will do some small changes. See, sir, in any new school education system changes, after 30 years, the system has changed. But if the system need to be more efficient, more industry related oriented, they need to change every decade. So every 10 years once they change a new education policy, it will be very vibrant. It will give a lot of scope to the market. So likewise, these also need to be changed, I believe.
Okay. So the why I am asking, so the topic should be a current one. It should be a relevant one. That's why I shared this. But anyway, some of you said still there is a scope for doing a good research on labor welfare measure. But when we take the labor, that is labor side, so nowadays the government introduced a lot of reforms in the labor law. So we can study how the labor law, that means the reforms in the labor law, affect the employees. For instance, you might be knowing now the 4 hours working day, then 12 hours per day, then gig workers like that. There are so many new concepts. How it affects the well-being of the employees. So this type of study will be a new one. And as I shared earlier, nowadays the government, of course, they are focusing more on skill development, under Skill India program. How the skill development impacted on the youth, how many jobs created from that? Then what was the impact on the socio-economic conditions of the people after getting this job? Or how many of the training become entrepreneur like that? So in that way, if the research is on current topic, I think that will be more better one. That is my idea. Anything you want to add? Right. Okay. So this saying insists on creativity and innovation. Research is to see what everybody else, because for example, when we take nowadays the COVID, you take the COVID also. So all of us see the problem, but how to address the problem? Only the scientists, they know better. Similarly, when we take the poverty, then hunger, because when we take the hunger, so the hunger index, I think 2020 highlights that India is not in a better position. Or in other words, I can say India is far behind than even Myanmar, then Bangladesh, like that. So these countries are in a better position than India, because there is a gap between the rich and the poor in India. A lot of people still suffering from the hunger and malnutrition. So the hunger index shows the India in a bad light. Then if you do the research, so how can we address that problem? I think that will bring out more useful information, more findings. Then when we take the corporate CSR, how the CSR can help in eradication of poverty or eradication of hunger. Because previously the industry said, no, so it is not our business to focus on the welfare of the common man. It is not our business, like that they said. But now after the Companies Act made it as a compulsory, mandatory, then they are expected to spend on education. They are expected to spend on eradication of poverty, then they are expected to spend on rural development, because all these are coming under now the sustainable development goals. And now it is the responsibility of the government to achieve the sustainable development goals. For that, they are focusing on this. Then they make the industry to contribute something. So how the industry contribute and what type of impact it creates on society, I think that type of study also will be very useful. So this is my small idea. Okay, right. I hope now I come to the main topic. So previously we talked about what is the review of literature, then their importance like that. Now I come straight to the meaning of review of literature. A literature review is a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic. So when we take a particular topic, for example, in the management, I take one topic, evaluation of effectiveness of executive training or management training. So if I take the topic, so I cannot say this is the only topic I have selected. No one has selected like that. I cannot say that, because many people have conducted research on this area. But the thing is, I should not select the same unit selected by some previous researcher recently. Then what are the other people did on some other industry or something? Then the question arises, what were the variables used by the researcher for studying the effectiveness of the training? Because when you study the effectiveness of the training, we have to take into account of the study material given for the research, infrastructure facilities available in the training center, then the role of the trainer on the achievement of the goal of the training, then how the training program are conducted, whether the training program duration is optimal, or whether it is too length or too short, then whether the industry facilitate the participant to transfer the skill learned from the industry. These are some of the parameters or variables to be adopted for conducting the effectiveness of the training. Similarly, for each topic, for each work, there must be some variables to be selected for the study. So unless you go through the previous research work, you may not be in a position to identify the variables to be taken for the study. Then you may not be able to identify the gap. So review of literature here is very, very important. So the first one talked about a literature is a comprehensive summary of previous research, or it is a critical recap of what has already been researched on a topic. So what was done earlier on this, then in what I am going to do this now. So that will be known only after going through the review of literature. Then the another meaning, the review of current state of knowledge in the specific subject area. What is the current one? So what is the latest one? So that will be known only after the literature review. Then I just take the definition given by one author in the Business Research Methods. So this is a very nice book on the methodology research methods. So the author, William, I think this is the 4 authors book, and the main author is William Ginman. According to them, the review of literature is a directed search for published works, including periodicals and books that discusses theory and presents empirical results that are relevant to the topic at hand. So the author defined the review of literature as, so they should search for the published works. So when we take the sources of data, So what are the important sources of data? Anyone? What are the important sources of data?
Primary data and secondary data.
Primary data and secondary data. So when you take the published works, in which it will come? Primary or secondary?
Secondary.
Secondary data, yes. So in the review of literature, the secondary data plays a major role. So the author highlight, it is a direct search for published works. So the published works means it may be in periodicals, it may be books, So that discusses theory and presents empirical results that are relevant to the topic at hand. Okay. So when we take both the periodicals and the books, so which one you think better as a source of literature? You got the question?
The word empirical is a little confusing there.
Yeah.
You just throw some light on that particular
Pardon?
concept. Empirical.
Empirical. Oh. Okay. So presents empirical results. So empirical results means the results are data based. That is the thing. Suppose if you make findings on your assumption, that is not data based one. That is just your opinion. Sometimes if you do the research without proper literature review or without adequate data, the findings derived from the work cannot be said as empirical results because the data was not adequate. Because of that, that may not be, the findings may not be empirical one. So empirical means here, when the results of the study is based on the data of your data analysis, then only we can say empirical results. You got or any clarification you need? Hello? Hello, participant? You want any clarification about the empirical work?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Right. Okay. So that is the advantage of doing good research, because by conducting various literature review, if you know the problem well and if you collect the problem, that means the literature or related data by using the correct statistical, that means tools, then you can derive the findings with adequate support of the data. Then that will be called as empirical work. Okay. Okay, right. So here, so when we talk about the literature review, as a Tamil person, I should, I think I touch on the Tirukkural, because the Tirukkural consisting 1330 Kural, say the major portion talks about the ethics, and there is one chapter on learning, Kalvi. So here, just I say in Tamil, then I come to this, come to English one. Particularly the Tamilian may be well versed with the Kural. So the Kural goes like this. Tottanai Thurum Anarkeni Mandarukku Katranai Thurum Arivu. So any Tamilians is there? Any Tamilian? Because you can share. Tottanai Thurum Manarkeni Mandarukku Katranai Thurum Arivu. So I think this Tirukkural emphasize the importance of review of literature. Any Tamilian, you want to explain this? What is this? No one is ready. Hello? whether you
Sir?
people are studying or not. Yes. Just I want to ask you to brief about the Kural, how it is
Sir,
related to the literature review. So the Kural is கற்றடை தூரும் மணற்கேணி மாந்தருக்கு கற்றடை தூரும் அறிவு.
Sir, shall I explain in Tamil, sir?
Okay.
மண்ணில் உள்ள கேணி அளவு நீர் போல மக்களின் நம்ம கற்ற அறிவும் அதுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி ஊறிட்டே இருக்கணும். தட் இஸ்
ஓகே. அந்த பாயிண்ட் என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னு சொன்னா, ஒரு மணற்கேணியை வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா தோண்ட தோண்டதான் உங்களுக்கு என்ன கிடைக்கும், நீர் கிடைக்கிறதோடைய இது வந்து அதிகமாகும் இல்லையா. ஒரு மணற்கேணியை வந்து தோண்ட தோண்டதான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு அந்த தண்ணீர், உங்களுக்கு அந்த தண்ணீருடைய வரத்து அதிகமாகும், தண்ணீர் கிடைக்கக்கூடியது அதிகமாகும். அதே போலதான் உங்களுக்கு லிட்ரேச்சர் ரிவ்யூ வந்து படிக்க படிக்க தான் உங்களுக்கு அறிவு வளரும், கற்க தான் வந்து அறிவு வளருங்கிறது தான் பாயிண்ட். அதுதான் வள்ளுவர் சொல்றாரு, தொற்றனை தூரும் மணற்கேணி மாந்தருக்கு கற்றனை தூரும் அறிவு. அதாவது நீங்க கற்க தான் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா உங்களுடைய அறிவு பெருகும் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் பாயிண்ட். இங்க நம்ம என்ன சொல்ல வரோம்னு சொன்னா, லிட்ரேச்சர் ரிவ்யூல நீங்க எந்த அளவுக்கு நிறைய ஜேர்னல்ஸ் உங்கள் டாபிக் ரிலேட்டடா படிக்கிறீங்களோ அந்த அளவுக்கு நீங்க உங்களுக்கு அதுல அறிவு வளரும். அப்ப அந்த ப்ராப்ளம் ஆஃப் த ஸ்டடியை வந்து நல்லா கத்துக்க முடியும். அப்ப அந்த மெத்தடாலஜியை நல்லா கத்துக்க முடியும். உங்களால நீங்களே வந்து ரிசர்ச் கேப் வந்து ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணி சொல்ல முடியும். அப்புறம் நான் இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வந்து ப்ரீவியஸா யாரெல்லாம் இந்த என்னென்ன ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, இதுல நான் என்ன இதுல புதுமையா பண்ண போறேன் அப்படிங்கிறதெல்லாம் உங்களால சொல்ல முடியும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய அதுதான் இந்த குறள். I think now I come to English. So we shared in Tamil about this Kural. So I just discuss the same in English. So water will flow from a well in the sand in proportion to the depth to which it is dug. So when you when you dig the well more and more, you will get more water. Similarly, the knowledge will flow from a person in proportion to his learning. So when he goes on learning, then he will become a master in the topic, in the research. So that is the point here. So there are so many things insisting on continuous learning. So learning is a continuous process. Learning is a lifelong process. You might be knowing that there are some people, even IAS officers, they are coming for doing the PhD because they want to learn something. They want to contribute something as knowledge in the society. Therefore, there is no end for their learning. As a scholar, when you do the review of literature more and more, you will get more idea about the research. Then you will get more creativity. Like. Then the another point, the quality and outcome of the research mainly depends on to what extent a researcher review the literature related to his work. This is about the importance of learning. Okay, now I come to this. The objectives of review of literature. Why should we do the review of literature? So just I want to share with you, is review of literature mandatory or optional or doing the research?
mandatory, sir.
Mandatory actually.
Mandatory, because even though there is no legal compulsion, but it is better to start the research with the review of literature. Okay, right. So now we can discuss what are the objectives of review of literature, or why should we conduct the review of literature? Because unless we know, we are convinced that yes, this must be done because of this, we won't do that. Therefore, in this we will discuss the objectives of review of literature. The first one, to know the current state of knowledge in the specific subject area. So this is very important. Current status. What is the present status? Present status. So when we take the corporate social responsibility, what is the current status? Any one of you, particularly from the management, commerce, management, economics, service field, what is the current status of CSR?
கரண்ட் ஸ்டேட்டஸ் மீன்ஸ் ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வந்து நம்ம ரிவ்யூ ஆஃப் ரிலேட்டட் லிட்ரேச்சர் நம்ம ஸ்டடிக்கோட தற்போதைய ஸ்டேஜில் என்ன ஸ்டடீஸ் இருக்குது, ஏதாவது ரிசர்ச் கேப் இருக்குதா, இல்லை நம்மளோட ஸ்டடி இப்போ தேவையா அப்படிங்கிறதெல்லாம் பார்க்குறதுக்கு.
பட் என்னோட கொஸ்டின் வந்து என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, இப்போ இந்த கார்பரேட் சோசியல் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டிங்கிறது, ஐ திங்க் லாஸ்ட் வீக் அவர் ஃபைனான்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் ஆல்சோ, தமிழ்நாடு ஃபைனான்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர், he talked about the importance of CSR, how the CSR can address the grassroots problem. And even he accepted that the government cannot do everything, and there is some system drawback in the government side. Therefore, the CSR can fulfill that. That was the idea made by him in the CSR Summit 2021. So in that way, I ask, what's the current status? What was the previous situation? So the current status is, so after the Companies Amendment Act, after 2013, the Companies Act 2013 insists every corporates which are making profit of net worth of 500 crore or 1,000 crore profit for the past average 3 years, then they are legally liable to spend 2% of the profit for CSR. That is the current status. So when, suppose if you want to carry out the research on CSR, then you must be knowing the current status. What is the latest amendment in the act? In the act, that must be you knowing that. Similarly, suppose if you are doing a research on skill development, first of all, you should know the current status. Then you must be knowing what are the various skill programs implemented by the government like this. So the review of literature will help you know what is the present status, what is the latest development in the particular field. I am sharing from the management point of view. You can take any topic, any area of the research. So only the review of literature will tell you what is the present status. So you can learn the present status only by going through the current literature review. Then another one, to know the research trend prevailing in the particular area of research. Suppose if you take the management or commerce or banking area, what's the present trend? When you take the banking area, now most of the banks, they face the problem of non-performing asset, NPA. Then there was more research on NPA. Why NPA was happened? What are the causes for that? Then how to address that, like that. And when the government introduced about the financial inclusion. So when we take India is a big country, and there are some people living in a remote area without access to the bank, and there are people living in the main urban and cities. They have better access to the financial system. They make investment. They have more accounts in the bank. Then how to bridge this gap, or how to bring the people excluded from the financial system into the mainstream of the country. Then the government introduced about the financial inclusion, then self-help groups, like this. Therefore, in order to know the present trend in the research, we should go through the literature. So when I did my, actually just I want to share my experience. So when I went for doing the research, my research, actually, so when I, please, suppose if any one of you talk, keep your speaker off, then we can speak. because there is some disturbances. Okay, right. So when I went for doing research in the Alapa University, I did my PhD in the Alapa University only. So when I went for doing the research, I hope yesterday Professor Selvam might have addressed you, the present Vice Chancellor of Bharatidasan University. I think most of you might have attended the session. So he was my guide for doing the research. Okay, what he did when I went for registering PhD. So he put two conditions. One is you have to subscribe minimum 2 journals. Minimum 2 journals for conducting for doing the PhD under my guidance. Like that he said. So minimum you have to subscribe 2 journals. That was one condition. And another condition, you have to read the business related newspapers very regularly. That was the very first condition put by him for registering PhD. So now I understood why he put that condition, because so unless you go through the current literature, current magazines, current journal, you will not get updated idea about the work. You will not know the latest development in the business or whatever may be the field. So in order to know the latest developments, you must be going through the current literature survey. That is the point. Then another objective, to analyze the research work already done on a particular topic in the particular area of research. So when you want to do something new, first of all, you must know what is already done. So in this way, the research literature review will be very, very useful. Suppose I want to share one topic. Now you can share with that. For example, the study on job satisfaction of employees. Is it a new topic or old one, or is it has still any relevance for doing research? The participant can share your idea. Hello.
Hold the topic, sir. Job satisfaction. Regarding the job satisfaction, right, sir?
Yeah.
It's always a green topic only, sir. Always it is.
Okay. Yeah, how?
If you are doing one job, whatever it is, if you are a CEO of company or a worker or an employee of the company, if you are satisfied, then only you can do in better way. So we can say this is a evergreen topic. Job satisfaction is important than money.
Okay. Very good. Any other opinion about this? Because generally people
money is very important. But how you can reach high standard in your profession means by way of dedication in your work and job satisfaction. Through that only we can achieve. It's my opinion.
Okay, so I understood. So when we take job satisfaction, this is very much required. This we know from any HRM. How the job satisfaction is important. This everybody know. I accept. But why still it is relevant? How it is still relevant? That you have to share with me.
Sir, actually, it is relevant because of the people is keep on changing. The new generation is coming to the job actually. Right? Every year, the newcomers are coming in. So we need to identify the job satisfaction of every individual all the time. So when we study about, for example, X generation, Y generation, now generation Z, so generation keep on change. So we need to study each and every preferences. So that is the reason. Actually, the other madam was saying it is an evergreen topic. For that reason, it is being said like that.
Any other point anyone want to add on this? I think this gentleman touched a very important point. So the people are changing. For example, when you take the present younger generation, and when you compare the younger generation with the older group or Gen Y with the Gen Z, you can find a lot of differences in their approach, in their perception. Previously, when you take the people worked in the industry 30 to 40 years back, so when a person joined in a particular organization, till his retirement, he will be there only. And unless there was a very compulsion, he won't move from that industry or that organization to another organization. But when you take the younger generation, even for a small hike of 500 rupees or 1000 rupees, he will easily shift over from one organization to another organization. So the question is about the loyalty. So the older generation, they had more loyalty about the particular organization in which they joined initially. But nowadays, people are moving very fast, or we can say the attrition rate is nowadays very high. This is because of their perception. And we cannot say wrong on the part of the younger generation. The reason is also they have genuine reason. But because when you take past, most of the industries adopted the Japanese management style. That means the lifetime employment concept. So when a particular person joined in the industry, that person will not be disturbed easily, unless he commits some major mistake. They won't disturb them. But nowadays, what is the present trend? The present trend is on contract basis. If the person, that means if the industry thinks that, yes, he's
hire and fire.
Yes, that is the point. Hire and fire. Sometimes there is no, even they are not giving prior notice, and all of a sudden they say, yes, from tomorrow onwards you need not come, like that. And similarly, the individual also from that fellow will say, I heard I am not liking the person who instruct me, so therefore I will not come to the office from tomorrow onwards, like this. So this type of changes in the workforce. So the changes in the workforce again emphasize the importance of the study on job satisfaction. And another thing, I think I expected some of you will point out that the another things, when you take the present working condition. So of course, in some industries, they provide a lot of facilities, I accept. But when we take the hours, number of hours people are doing the work, nowadays that is very, very high. And because of this, because people get more health problem, even at the young age. And even when we take the work from home, so now because of the COVID problem, because of the lockdown problem, people were forced to work from home. Yes, fine. So when we think work from home, right, we will do the work in the office time. But whether it is whether people are doing the work only in the office hours, no. By 9:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m., some people are calling and asking this one, what is this, what is that, like that. So under work from home, by using the modern technology, they are penetrating even in the bedroom of the employee, and they are disturbing their work life. So because of this, the problem of quality of work life will disturbed. So when there is a disturbances in the quality of work life, then family disturbances, then another side, the health problem, then their life will be in a bitter position, not better position. Okay, I think when we talked about the 7 habits of effective people, so I think the last one, sharpen the Shah, he did not mention about only the sharpening the knowledge. I think he said about the complete renewal of the individual life. That means the author emphasized to have close contact with the society. Then the author emphasized on the well-being of the employees. That means the author insisted on doing regular exercise, etc. like this. Then the author touched on the social life also. The social life, like in the Maslow theory, in the Maslow theory, the author says the love and affection. People expect the love and affection. That author, the 7 Habits of Effective People, the author Stephen Covey, he also insisted on this. So he talked about this in the four dimension. Because when we take any individual, mere, as someone pointed out, mere money is not enough. Mere that means mere facilities are not enough. So what is needed? A balanced work life, then good well-being, then some social interaction, then recognition from the organization. So if there is no recognition, then people will not get motivated. Then there must be scope for there must be scope for reaching the potential. So the Maslow says, that is the Abraham Maslow says that, what do you say, the last one, self-realization. Self-realization means realizing the potential to reach the top position. So all this must be done. So all these are related to the job satisfaction. So when the working condition changes, when the norms changes, that also disturb the life, the work life of the people. Therefore, as you people pointed out, the topic say job satisfaction, a study on job satisfaction may be old one, but still it has relevance because of the changes in the workplace, changes of the people, changes of the system, etc. Right. I think I hope all of you might be clear or understood this point. Okay. Right.
Yes, sir.
Right, ma. Okay, I think we talked about this. To analyze the research work already done, the review of literature is needed. Then to avoid duplication of research study. Yes. So what will happen when the study is the duplication of other one? So what type of problem will arise? Particularly nowadays, what type of problem will get when the study is a duplication one?
Plagiarism.
Yeah. Very good. So nowadays, previously the researcher escaped from that, but now they cannot escape because, so even before submitting the thesis, the research work book, then you have to go through the plagiarism test, and if the plagiarism is within the accepted limit only, that will be accepted. Your research work will be accepted, or otherwise the university will ask you to change this. And another issue is there. So nowadays, so all the research works are published in South Ganga. At any time, anyone can go through your research work. And if they find, yes, this is the work of someone, then what do you know, what type of problem they will get. Even to be frank, there are some vice chancellors, they lost their job because of the plagiarism. They might have done 20 years back or 30 years back, but when they occupy the top position in the institute, then there will be always some association, there will be always some people, then they will tick this, they will test so whether there is something wrong on the fellow side. And when they found there was a plagiarism done by the person who is occupying the top position, then the problem will start. Therefore, we should avoid the duplication of work. So when you avoid the duplication, you can avoid this problem also. Then the another thing is, so when you avoid the duplication, you can think that, yes, I have done this one. So this added new knowledge for me. So I have contributed something, some new knowledge to the existing knowledge. So that is the idea of the research. Okay. To avoid the duplication of research study, the review of literature is needed. Then to identify the research gap, I think some of you told this point. So to identify the research gap, the review of literature is very much required. Then to present the literature reviewed by the researcher in an organized way in the thesis. Because when we take the review of literature, so what is the trend we are following now in the research at PhD level? Any one of you?
Could you repeat, sir? Repeat, sir.
So the question is, so what is the trend we follow in giving the literature review in the thesis? So I come
nowadays,
to
No, it is always,
nowadays,
it is to be depicted in the second chapter.
Yeah.
The second chapter. First chapter is introduction.
Right. Okay. So previously, even the literature review can be given a part of introduction chapter, but now, particularly when you do the research at PhD level, the review of literature must be given as a separate chapter. Yes, you are correct. So when you want to give the literature review as in a separate chapter, then you must do the literature review in exhaustively. So now, what can be the optimum number of literature review? So how many literature reviews at present we require? Is there any minimum? Is there?
in PhD
probably
level, maybe about 200 research studies we will follow, sir.
200. 200 is very big one.
Yes.
It's
very
great.
heavy, sir. 200 is very heavy.
Because
Actually, it
200
has
is
been
very heavy.
advised that
Yeah.
around
Maximum 100,
100,
max to 100, max to
maximum. To the
100.
max, 100 is better.
100 is better.
Yeah, max to 100.
Okay.
Yes.
50 to
Sir,
60
because
is
we are
alright.
collecting the review studies from the foreign studies in Indian studies, sir.
Okay.
So that only foreign 100 studies and Indian 100 studies.
Oh.
In that 100 studies, we also follow some kind of dimension-wise review of research studies.
Right. But
That is why
so as
I told
we
200.
discussed, when you conduct more review, you can gain more knowledge. I accept. But the thing is, so when you want to give the review of literature as a separate chapter, so nowadays there is a restriction in the number of pages in the thesis. For example, when we take the University of Madras, your thesis should not exceed 250 pages. I know might be the other university might be all following this one. Then when you present a review of literature about 200 numbers, then your major portion of the thesis will be devoted to the review of literature only. Then the analysis part will get affected. That is the idea.
And actually, sometimes it leads to some plagiarism also, no, sir.
Yeah.
Because of the 200 reviews we do know, it will lead to some increased percentage of plagiarism.
Okay, very good. So I think I have also noted that point in my presentation. So so that is why when you review, when you present the review, maximum we should try to give on our own words only. Suppose if you use most of the words of the author, then this type of problem will arise. So in order to escape from the problem of plagiarism, then try to present the literature review and the own words of the researcher. Okay, right. So now just I want to share with the organizer. Is there any break for the participant? Where is the organizer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can we give the break now?
10 minutes break, sir.
Okay, 10 minutes break. So now the time. What is the time?
11:35, sir. 11:45 you can join, sir.
Can we ask the participant to assemble like 11:45?
11:45, sir.
Okay, right. Okay, right. So participant, there is small announcement. I think you can take 10 minutes break. Again, we can come for discussion.
Sir, stay with us, sir.
Okay. Right, ma. So again, we can start a discussion by 11:45.
11:45. That's all.
Right. Thank you.
Sir, shall I start?
Oh, yes, ma. Can we start?
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I welcome back the participants. Okay. So whether the screen is visible to you, whether the PPT is visible to you?
No, sir. It is showing black.
Huh?
No.
Right.
Yeah, now it is visible. Again, it is black screen. Again, it is black screen. Yeah, now it is visible, sir.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
fine, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, sir.
So how do you feel? Can you give a brief feedback then for proceeding further? I hope
Yes, sir,
we had a discussion of more than an hour. Then
yes,
in this, we briefly discussed about the importance of literature review. Then we also touched how the review of literature will help the researcher to proceed in the right direction. Okay. I think the present slide on objectives of the review of literature will highlight why the literature review is required. What will be the benefit the researcher will derive from the review of literature? Yes. Now we can proceed the another one. And I think this is about the sources of literature. From where we can get the literature. And first of all, you can say textbooks, reference books, then monographs. Have you heard about monographs? What is monograph? I hope all of you know, all of you must be knowing well about the textbook, reference book. What is the difference between textbook and reference book? Any one of you? Is there whether the textbook and reference books are both are same or different? Participant? Any one of you can share the difference between the textbook and reference book? Jagannathan? Okay. Right. So what is the meaning of monograph? Anyone? Monograph.
So it is a kind of some journal books, reviewer books.
Sir, reference book is
all
having
the researcher.
Yes. Okay. First.
Sir, monograph is conference content, I think.
A conference
reference book is having a current affairs also. Current trends also is available in reference book. Textbook may be having a edition is new means you can get a new information, but edition is old means you can't get that much of information. So reference book is having more current information, I hope.
Okay. So reference book, for example, if you take the textbook, it is maximum the purpose is to benefit the learner for preparing the exam. But when you take the reference book, it is more updated and more detailed one. So that contain more information than the required by ordinary learner. Then suppose if you publish the research proceedings, then the book published from your PhD work, I think these are also called as reference book. So textbook means this is the book prepared on the basis of curriculum, and this is the book prepared to benefit the learners in the examination, to get more marks in the examination. Yes, I think someone talked about monograph.
Sir, conference contents or papers, those who are participated in the conference, they will send the content to the particular committee. So they will release during the conference.
Yeah. So that
conference
is
proceeding actually.
Only, yeah, conference proceedings that is there. Then the organizer may publish the best papers as article. Then that book also called as reference book only. Anything you want to add more than this? Okay, I think someone talked about monograph. I think the person can share his idea about the monograph. How the monograph is a source for literature review. What is monograph? Okay, right. So when you write a series of articles on a particular area or on a particular theme, then the series of work will be the monograph. If you publish the series of work done by you on a particular theme, then that will be called as monograph. For example, a book on how the human body uses vitamin D. This is science related. Suppose if you take the latest one, how the corona affect the human body. Suppose if a gentleman publishes a series of articles on what is corona, how it affects the human body, then what are the precautions the people can take to avoid the corona problem. Like this, when the series of work published by the author on a particular theme is given as a source, that source is called as monograph. Any other meaning anyone want to share about the monograph? No? Huh? Okay, right. Yes. Then the next one is journals. So nowadays, the institution expect the researcher to review the peer-reviewed journals. When we take the journals, nowadays, both printed journals and online journals also you can use. So in the past, we used to refer to the printed journal only. But now, a blend of peer-reviewed journals are available in the online also. That also a good source for the review of literature. So what is the present status? So what type of journals the UGC expect from the researcher?
Sir, Web of Science, Scopus, Index journal.
Scopus, Index, then in the UGC CARE journal, in that CARE 1, 2 like this. Okay. So these are the journals the UGC expect the researcher to review. So in that way, when the researcher focused on this type of journals, then the review of literature will be useful for him, because these journals accept only the well done research work. The article must be a good one. Then only they will accept the paper. But nowadays, I think whatever may be the system, people are there to pollute the system. Nowadays, by making the payment also, people are publishing the papers without adequate quality. So that side I don't want to go. But anyway, it is better to refer to always the peer-reviewed journal with a good index. Okay. Then the another source is about the magazines. So in the magazines also you will get more current points, current work done by the people. Then latest knowledge you can gain from the magazines also. Then newspapers. The newspapers also gives good news about the latest news about a particular theme or topic. Then the government reports. So the government reports also will be a good source for conducting the research, particularly when the person wants to carry out the research on the basis of secondary data. They can go for the government reports. So for example, when we take the Reserve Bank of India, so they issue the RBI bulletin every year. That will be useful for doing the research in the banking area. And when you take the economic survey, so the economic survey is very useful for conducting the research in the economics and the social science. So like that. For example, nowadays at present, the government issued the Skill India report. Is anyone gone through the Skill India report? I'm asking the participant whether any one of you have gone through the Skill India report published by the government.
No, sir.
No, suppose.
No, sir. Actually, we have an idea about, but I'm not going through it. As per my research, I'm going through Zen reports.
Oh.
That is like for my entrepreneurial research, I'm going through Zen reports every year.
Oh. Suppose if your work is related to the entrepreneur development or about the unemployment.
Skill India is also related to actually. In future, we'll go.
Yeah. So it is available in the net also. Skill India report 2021. So this report actually highlight about the unemployment problem, about the skill requirement, and
actually, sir, the Skill India, they're asking for a what is called a kind of promoters. So institutions like us, they're asking for a promotership, right? So we can train students, we can train the graduates for required skills, like a kind of vocational things like.
Very good, very
good.
Yes,
we have been going through all those things like. We had a plan to implement those in our institution also.
Yeah. Because that report highlights. So what are the areas now the organization can focus for skill development? For example, the data science. Then so many areas they have highlighted. So if the younger generation, the present youth focus on this, they can get easily the job opportunity. Okay, right. So like this, there are so many government reports. For example, when you want to carry out the research about the skill development, the report from the ministry also will be useful to you. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs, then the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, they also published the rare report. So that will be useful for the literature review. Then the major databases or sources. There are so many database centers are there. Then you can approach them. Then they will, if you say, I need the articles related to this topic, then they will give you, then just they will charge a small portion, a small amount for this work. Then the thesis already submitted by the previous researcher are available in the libraries, and now in the South Kanka also these theses are available. Then you can go through that also. Then as someone said, the conference proceedings also will help the people to get more ideas about the research. Actually, here I want to share my experience. I think 2 years back, one lady approached me, sir, I want to do research on the entrepreneur development only. As someone said, so I want to research in this area, sir, but I am not getting idea how to proceed. Like that she asked. Then by the time I got a brochure from one institution about the conferences on entrepreneur development. Then I said, so there will be one conference organized by the so-and-so institution on this date. You try to go and attend the conference. Definitely you will get more idea about the new topic for your work. particularly about the related to your entrepreneur development. Then after some time, again that lady met me. Then she shared with me that, sir, that day you asked me to go to attend the conference. That was very much useful for me in identifying the topic or identifying the problem for the study. Because when you attend the conferences, the organizer will invite various resource people. Then they will share their experiences. Then after the conferences also, they publish the conference proceedings. And when the person goes through all these things, definitely he will get a good topic for the research. So in that way, the conference also playing a major role. Then the videos. So suppose if you want to conduct the research on behavioral science or something, there are certain videos are available, and when you go through the video, you will get some idea for doing the research. These are some of the sources, major sources. Here, just I want to share with you. So, what are the data centers are available, and how that will be useful for the researcher? I think all of you might be knowing this, but anyway, just I want to highlight. The first one, the National Social Science Documentation Center of ICSSR, New Delhi. So when you visit the ICSSR New Delhi library, you can get a plenty of data for doing the research, because they have very good libraries, and they spend more amount for collecting the new editions, and they have a lot of reference book also, reference book that will give you better idea. Then the bibliography details also they have. We can call annotated bibliography. That gives you the work already done or the articles published on this. That also with some explanation. They are giving with some explanation. Therefore, that will be very useful for for getting idea for your review of literature. You will get more ideas from the library of the ICSSR or the documentation center of ICSSR. This is one. And another one, the National Documentation Center of Mass Communication, New Delhi. So they have a separate section for this. I think I also visited once this National Document Center of Mass Communication when I did my research work. So when you go to that center, they will ask you in which topic or which area you are doing the research. Then they have collected so many literature about the various topics. Then according to your need, they will give the printout of the articles. They will charge you very less amount. That will be a good source for collecting the literature review. Then the another one, the Center for Development Documentation and Communication Center, Hyderabad. In Hyderabad also they have the center, and I think there is one research institution. They conduct so many research on this. That means on micro and small and medium enterprises, and they also publish articles on this. That will be also useful for collecting the data. Then the National Council of Applied Economic Research. They are also having centers. That center gives a lot of data, that means literature relating to the agriculture, industry, and human development. That will be a good source for review of literature. Then the another one is an emerging focus is rigorous on evaluation of major government public expenditure schemes in rural sector. So now the government is spending various huge amount for upliftment of the poor or for addressing the problem of underprivileged people. But the thing is, we should know whether the amount spent by the government reached the people properly. Because when you take the government system, there is a lot of leakages. That is the problem with the government. As our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi said, so when the government spend 1 rupee, I think only 14 paise reaches the targeted group, reaches the people. So the remaining amount is going one to another officer, like all middlemen. These people take the major portion of that amount. Therefore, there is a great scope for conducting the research about a particular scheme. So whether the scheme would reach the people properly, whether the beneficiaries benefited from the scheme, or what is the impact of the scheme on the socio-economic condition of the people. So there is a great scope for doing the research on this area. Then the Center for Economic and Social Studies, Hyderabad. So I think this institute, they conduct so many research on interdisciplinary area, and they publish the papers, and this will be also good source for conducting the research. Then the annotated bibliographies. I think I already talked about the annotated bibliographies. Is anyone can share the difference between the ordinary bibliography and annotated bibliography? Any one of you? Any one of you? What is the difference between the ordinary bibliography and annotated bibliography? I think participants, you people are having a good idea. The thing is, sometimes you are not coming up. Anyone? Any one of you can share what is the difference between bibliography, that means ordinary bibliography, and annotated bibliography. Because we say that the annotated bibliography is a useful source of literature. Yes. So whether you people are in this participating or just
Sir.
why no one is talking?
Sir, annotated bibliography in the form of the table format, sir. Table format.
Table format. Any other any additional point from any participant?
Sir, I think annotated bibliography is without name of the author.
No. Actually, annotated bibliography is more a detailed one. So when you take ordinary bibliography, what will we say? The author names, then the work done by him, then the volume, then the number of pages. Only that will be given. But when you take the annotated bibliography, they give a brief summary also about the work. Because just by seeing the author's name and the title of work, you may not be knowing the possible content of the literature about the article or whatever may be. But when you go through the annotated bibliography, since it is having a brief summary about the work, about the literature, it will give you, so whether the literature will be useful to you or not. That is the idea. That will motivate you to go further. Or in other words, I can say that, so what source you can go additionally for collecting the relevant data for you. So the annotated bibliography is more useful compared to the bibliography, because the purpose of annotated bibliography is to give more useful information to the researcher. That is the idea. So the ICSSR library, they are having the annotated bibliography. Therefore, when you refer to the annotated bibliography, you can know further sources. So when we take the sampling technique, there is one snowball sampling. So what's the meaning of snowball sampling? Any one of you? Abdul Qadir, yes.
It's a kind of
Anyone of
referral
you?
sampling, sir.
It is kind
Referral
of?
sampling, referral chain sampling.
No. Anyone of you
Sir,
has
it
in
is
some
a
other
It's in
non-probability
non-probability sampling techniques.
Okay. So the snowball sampling comes under
Hello.
probability only. Yes.
Sir, it's like a chain process. We can select the sample
Hello.
from one to another.
Just a minute.
It goes on.
Yes.
In which we
Hello.
randomly select to one sample,
No.
one respondent.
Yes. Someone is calling.
And
Hello.
then
Just a minute. Someone is calling. Yes. I think you can share now. Someone called me. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Please carry on.
In snowball sampling, actually, we do not know who are the samples, and what we got one person from the reference of that particular person, we try to get the second one. From the second one, we get the reference of the third one, and again we surveyed the third one. That is what is known as the snowball sampling.
Yes, sir.
So we can say it's a chain
Yes.
referral sampling, because like nowadays this Ambe company and other Modicap, they are doing the business like this in this format only.
Very good. Yes, I think
I'm correct.
Okay, particularly this type of sampling is used in case of making survey of crimes and those red alert area where the identity of the person who is surveyed is not known to anybody else. Only those that chain is well known to each other.
Okay.
They can only give the reference of another one. That is in that particular issues, the snowball sampling is used.
Yes. So I think most of you people are very much correct, because in the snowball sampling, so when you get a link to one person, then he will refer someone, then the other person will refer someone. Again, that it goes like a chain. So why I am talking about this, when you take the annotated bibliography, when you refer one bibliography, that gives direction to you to go further, because that touch on what are the content of the work done on this work, the content of the work. Therefore, you can proceed further and further. So that is the idea. Okay, right. So the annotated bibliography is an alphabetical list of information sources. So like a bibliography, here also we are giving the references in the alphabetical order only, but it is formatted like a bibliography or a reference list accompanied by a commentary on each source. That is the difference between the annotated bibliographies and another one, the normal one. So here we give the commentary on each source. That means a brief summary about the work. This provides the reader an ordered list of sources for additional reading. So that is the advantage of annotated bibliography. Then digital libraries, I think all of you might be knowing.
Sir, may I ask one doubt, sir?
Please, ma.
Sir, for social science research, we have to follow APA format.
Okay.
Sir, how we can use for annotated bibliography for this type of research, sir?
Okay. So normally the annotated bibliography, it is given in the MLA format. Okay. Therefore, that when, because depending on the field, so it may be differing. It may be differing.
Okay, sir. Sir, basically, I belongs to education. In our research, we have to use APA only. For me, I can't apply this technique, sir. I can't use bibliography.
But the thing is, what we are saying, so when you refer the annotated bibliography, you can know the scope for further reading. That is the idea. So we are not asking you to present in this format only, but this will give the scope for additional reading. So for that you can use the annotated bibliographies.
Okay, sir. I got it, sir. My query is, I cannot include in my thesis. Am I correct, sir?
Oh, okay. No issue. No issue.
Can't include. Yeah, fine. Thank you, sir.
Could you show us an example of that? Could you show us an example of annotated bibliography?
So, okay. You want the model for this?
Yes, sir. One sample, if you could show, if you have it.
Okay, right. I have not given in my slides, but I have that one. So normally it gives like first the author name, then the title of work, then the publisher, then volume, then pages like. Then apart from this, they give you a brief summary about the work. That is the significance of annotated library. So in the definition we said the commentary, like that they give a brief comment about the work done in that work, in the article. That is the difference between the ordinary bibliography and the annotated bibliography. I have the model, but I have not prepared in the slide.
Okay, sir, no problem. Thank you.
Slide. That is a problem. Otherwise, I have referred to the annotated library and I have collected the models also. But the thing is, I have not incorporated in the review of that means in the slides. But anyway, I appreciate your question. Right. So I hope all of you might be knowing very well about the digital libraries in India. So now this is the world of digitalization, and even the scholars from the public administration and political science, you can do more research on the digital system, the e-governance like this, and even library science people, they can go for a study on the digital library, how it benefits the learners, etc. Then just I want to take the V.V. Gree National Library Institute located in Noida. Sorry. Sorry. So they have 8 special collections comprising of 40 printed pages. So this is taken from the internet only. So the V.V. Gree National Library Institute, they are having 40,000 printed pages on the internet. Then the 100 hours of typed interviews they have stored in their library. So if the people who are doing research on the labor side, for labor training and development, I think for them this will be very useful. And when we take the Government of India, the Government of India at present give more importance for the digitalization, and they want to give a portal. In the portal, they want to give all the printed books or journals in the digital form. So that covers all areas like science, arts, culture, music, movies, then traditional medicine, palm leaves, and more you can get from the digital libraries. So this is also one of the important resource for literature review. Right. Okay, now I think this is very important. How to approach or how to give the review of literature. What order must be followed? I think someone said, sir, I am doing the research at a global level and I needed around 200 literature. And I classified the literature as Indian-based and foreign-based. So for them, the classification of literature review on the basis of origin, that is the one source for giving the literature review. Or in other words, the structure they can follow. For example, the articles based on India and article based on abroad. So this is one classification. Similarly, even when you take abroad, again they can classify. For example, on the European country based or the African country based, like that also you can classify. That is one type of classification of review of literature, or that is one type of structure of giving the review of literature. Then the most of the researcher follow the chronological order. So chronological order means on the basis of the time, on the basis of the year, you can give the literature review. So normally, which one is mostly followed? From current year to the previous one, or from the previous to current one? Which method will be better one?
Sir, from current year to
Very good, very good.
previous
Because,
studies.
very good. So when you start from the current work, you can highlight the recent one. That is the advantage of presenting the literature review on the basis of chronological order. So suppose when you give the literature review zigzag, so without following the year-wise, what will happen? Is it a major mistake on the part of the researcher? So when the literature review is not giving as per the order of the year, is it a major mistake, or what will happen? Suppose if research present.
So they will miss the current literature, current information.
Okay. So suppose if you mix it, then the old ideas may be also included in the new one. So that is not the correct one. So when you start from the current one, then all the latest developments, latest points will be covered in the presentation of literature review. That is a good point. And the another approach is thematic. Thematic means on the basis of your theme. On the basis of theme also you can classify. For example, when you take the study about the competency mapping, and for example, I conducted a study on competency mapping for executives. In that, I studied about the executive training on one side, and another side, the competencies related to manage the institution effectively. So when we take the training and competency, we can able to find out the competency gap. Then when I presented the review of literature, what I did, I presented the literature related the executive training or management training in the order. Then the articles related to the competency is given in another order. So this is on the basis of the theme of the work. Similarly, for any research work, so on the basis of your theme of the study, you can classify and present the literature. That is the thematic presentation. Then methodological. On the basis of the methodology also, you can present the review of literature. Suppose if you take the present trend, most of the researcher present the articles on the basis of the objectives also. So on the basis of the objectives or research questions, you can classify the literature and can make the presentation in the thesis. Then the theory, on the basis of the theory also, you can make the presentation. These are some of the approaches we follow now in making the presentation of the literature review in the thesis. Is there any other model followed now? Suppose if any scholar, any participants know, you can share with me now. Is there any model now? New model of presenting the literature review? Any one of you? Suppose if there is any new model. Yes.
Theoretical framework, sir.
Pardon?
Theoretical framework.
That is I highlighted. I am asking the new one. So because I shared with you the theoretical framework also, on basis of that you can present the literature review. I am asking, is there any other model that can be followed while making the while presenting the literature review. I think
Sir,
someone said, yes, no?
Funnel model, another model is funnel model of literature review.
Oh, so in that, how we present the literature?
In that literature funnel model, funnel means very starting it is wider. When you are going deep, it is focus on or maybe concentrating on a particular point issue of our topic. That is the funnel model.
Okay. Right. Okay. But these are the popular model. I think I have highlighted the popular model adopted by the researcher for presenting the review of literature. Okay, right. Now I come to the benefits of review of literature. In what way the literature review will be useful to the researcher? First one, the literature review will give a very good base, theoretical base for the research. So whatever may be the study, first of all, we should have a complete background knowledge about the work, any work. For that, the review of literature is very, very important. So when you read more literature related to the particular theme of the study, particular problem of the study, you will get the latest theoretical background. You will get, that is the one advantage. Then another advantage, it will help you to determine the nature of research. So when you take the nature of research, so how can we classify the research? Or in other words, straight away we can ask, what are the types of research?
Sir, qualitative and quantitative research.
So that is a broad classification. Qualitative versus quantitative, yes.
Then pure research, applied research,
very good,
action research,
empirical research,
experimental.
Then descriptive research. Then exploratory.
analytical research,
Analytical research, applied research. Then someone said, yes. Any other research? Okay.
Incremental.
Which one?
Incremental.
Incremental or experimental?
Sir, accidental research, sir.
It is experimental.
conceptual.
Conceptual, yes, conceptual. Conceptual research is now, we call it as a descriptive research. Okay, right. So why I am asking, so when we go through the literature review, so you can get, so under which category that comes, your research comes. So whether it is applied or descriptive or exploratory, that you can highlight in your study. That is the advantage of review of literature. Then the another point, so you can acknowledge the work of previous researcher because you are stating this is the work done by so and so in the year, this one, that was the findings of the study. Therefore, you are acknowledging the work of others. Then that review of literature gives a full understanding about the development in the field. Because when you review the current literature on the particular field, you can highlight these are the latest developments that are taking place in the field now. So for that also, the review of literature is very useful. Then the review of literature assures the reader that the researcher has indeed assimilated all previous work. Then when you assimilated the previous work, then when you understand well the background of the study, you can highlight the importance of the study. Then similarly, when you conduct the literature review, that gives the idea about the research gap. Where is the gap you can identify from the literature review? In what way your study will be unique? Or in what way your study will contribute for the existing knowledge, like that. Therefore, the literature review will strengthen your knowledge. That will strengthen your work on the particular topic. Then to give you supporting points to the findings of the researcher. This is very important. So normally nowadays, some scholars, they give the findings without proper support. then the reader may think that that is a personal opinion of the researcher. But when you give the findings with adequate support, then that means this is the work, this findings conform with the previous work of so and so. Or if you say this finding is against the work of so and so, then your findings will be experiment. That means a detailed one, empirical one. So that is the advantage of review of literature. Then how to write the review. So this is very important because sometimes, as someone pointed out, so when you write the review just by using the words of the original author, then the question of plagiarism will arise. Therefore, there must be a proper way to write the review. So when you write the review, you give the evidence, proper evidence, that then be selective. That means, so whatever, sometimes we go through many literature. You need not present all the literature reviewed by you. That must be relevant to the topic. It must be relevant. So be selective in selecting the literature for the study. Then highlight. So when you write the literature review, you highlight the objectives, methodology, and findings and conclusion of the study. That is very important. So for what purpose the researcher carried out the study? What methodology he has adopted? What was the sample size? Which sample technique was followed by him? Then what was the finding of the study? So that you can highlight. Then use the quotes moderately, because here in the literature review, you need not give more quotes. Just moderately you can use. Then summarize and synthesize the essence of the literature reviewed. Because normally the literature review is expected not more than half page maximum. Or otherwise the literature review presented by the researcher must be a small para. Therefore, you cannot write whatever you think about the work done by him. So that must be a very, very brief. For writing very briefly, you give in a summarize. You give it summarize and synthesize the literature reviewed. Then, as I already said, use your own words. So unless you use your own words, the question of plagiarism will come. Then that will put you in trouble. Therefore, while writing the review of literature, you have to use your own words. Then use caution when paraphrasing. So when you give it in the paragraph, we must be very careful. So these are some of the tips for writing the review of literature. So here just I have given a model for review of literature. So in this, I think I have given here two model. You can go through that. Then you can say, so which model will be a better one, like this. So I ask the reader to go through this. So this is one literature review I have taken from one study. So in this, the author said, Comfort et al. Evaluated about the facilities provided by the employers and stated that the crutch and elder care facilities should be provided at workplace. So the point is, so when you write the literature review, it must be very legible, and it must be readable. The content must be given in a logical way. That is the idea. For example, when you go through the present one and when you compare the literature review of the previous one, you can easily understand the present one is better than the previous one. So in that way, the presenting the literature review is very important. Very important. Okay, now I just come to, so what are the common mistakes we are committing in the literature review? Because unless you know, so what are the mistakes we commit, we cannot avoid that mistake. So at least to To avoid the mistake, we must know what are the common mistakes the researcher is doing. Okay, right. The first one, the absence of background or definition section. So what is the meaning of this? Any one of you? The absence of background or definition. So before starting the presentation of literature review, you give some background background information about yes, this is the literature related to this topic, related to this one. So in this, the work related to this topic, this problem is given like this. So instead of starting straight away the literature review, you can give a brief discussion about that. That is the background information. Then too descriptive. So some researcher describe the work or describe the content of the article. But the best way is, so when you review, you have to highlight the strength and weakness of the work, or you have to highlight the plus and the minus of the work. That is very important. So while writing the review about particular article, then you have to say, okay, this is the point must be appreciated, or this is one is the remarkable one, or suppose if there is some criticism, you can criticize that. That will be a better review of literature. For example, if you take the present situation, so I think I have come across many articles that were written just by selecting 20 respondents. They select 20 respondents and they conduct the research and they apply some statistical tools, and even for 20 respondents, they give in the percentage and they discuss like very experimental work. Is 20 respondents is enough for doing research? Particularly in the social science. I am not coming to the science side. Even when you take the psychology also, very few respondent is enough. But when we take the social science research, is 20 respondent enough for conducting the experimental study or research work? No. Yes.
No, sir.
At least
30.
Yeah, at least
30.
30. Yes.
Yeah.
To conduct that is that test or that some statistical tests also we need that minimum number. Right?
Yes. Right. Particularly in the social science, if you take minimum 100, that will be better. Or suppose if you conduct the research or writing the article, at least minimum 30 must be there. Okay, right. And why I asked, suppose if a fellow has written article with just 20 respondents, you can criticize that. That also the researcher have. The researcher is having that right. Then lack of quality resources. So when we select the sources of literature, we should collect the articles from good magazines, then from good journal. So the journal must be a peer-reviewed journal, and if you take the current trend, it must be Scopus or H-Index or UGC Care List, like that. Then if you have taken article or work from that type of journals, that will be a good one. Then organization. So the organization is the organization of or structure of the article must be a good one. Then avoid by article structure. But mostly we are taking one article and we write review about a para. This is the style we follow. But some experts say that it is better to avoid by article structure. And when you write a literature review, you also cover the views of other persons related to particular topic. So when you do that, So X says like this and Y says like this and Z says like this. You can compare the ideas of various people in a particular para. So that was the idea here. Then the literature reviewed must have connection with your research question or research objective. So that means the literature review must have some relevant to your topic. Just for namesake or just for covering the pages, we should not go for review of literature. The literature reviewed by must be relevant to your topic, and the findings of the literature must give you some answer to your research question. Then you should learn from that review regarding your topic. That is very essential. Then some authors, they are not giving proper credit to the authors. Some you can see some researcher, they will write the ideas of others as their own. That's why my professor always says that don't steal the idea of others. But now the more IPR issues are coming, the intellectual property rights are coming. So because of this, we should be very cautious. So we should always give the credit to the work of others. Then the plagiarism is the major issue now. So in order to avoid the plagiarism issue, you must always use your own words. And when you use the words of others, you give proper reference for that. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Okay. I think I'm coming to the end side of this. Here, I have quoted like this: conducting research without adequate literature review is sailing the boat in the sea without paddle. Suppose if you sail the boat in the river or in the sea, if you don't have the paddle, what will happen to you? So according to the wind direction, you will go. Similarly, when you conduct the research without proper adequate literature review, then you will not, your activity will not be a focused one. Since your activities are not focused one about your research work, you will be deviated. Then you will go in another direction. Then sometimes the problem may come between your guide and you. Then you have to go for extension. Therefore, be focused. You be clear about your work. And you should know how to go, where to go, how to proceed. So when you want to know all these things, the conducting the review of literature is very, very essential. Then just, I don't know how many of you will agree this. This is just the quotes of Wilson, means Zner. If you steal from one author, it is plagiarism. If you steal from many, it is research. So I think this is the point we should discuss in the forum. So you can share this. You can share your view about this. What the quotes says. Any one of you? I show the quotation here. If you steal from one author, it is plagiarism. If you steal from many, it is research. What is your idea? Any one of you? You got the point from the quotation?
Sir, if you refer more information from other work, you will gain more information from others, sir.
Very good. Then the question of will not arise.
Sir, when we are doing peer-reviewed research, it is actually what we are doing is we are taking others' ideas and we mix our idea also a little bit, and the reviewer who is reviewing it also accepts it. That means there is no new thing that is happening, because already what is known is coming out. There's no creativity there. So the whole purpose of research to find new things is totally absent. That is what I feel.
Okay, right. Any other opinion about this?
And sir, I have one more small question for you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Tell us some nice strategies to do literature review. Suppose I am doing a literature review. Most of us depend on literature review, and we do it for a few years. We get confused. We get confused of what to use, what not to use, the chronological order. All these things what you mentioned has to be applied. So this application, you can tell us some strategies where we can use these reviews in a better way. That would reduce a lot of burden of us when you do research.
Yes. That is I am thinking. So first of all, when you collect the review of literature, you keep in your mind your problem of the study. Then the literature collected by you must be relevant to your problem. So if the article is more generic, it's not that much relevant to your topic, just to keep it. Then again you go for more relevant to you only. Then when you go through various literature, naturally at one stage you will get confusion. I accept that, but this is the time to rethink about all the information collected by you. Then according to your objectives of the study, you can decide, yes, this is more relevant to your work. And suppose, for example, when you think about the variables to be adapted for your study, then when you go through various literature, you can find out, yes, this is the variables adapted by X. This is the variables or parameters. So in the research, we also use the term parameters. These are the parameters normally adapted by the researcher for doing this type of research. Then, since you have reviewed various literature also, of course, the previous work must be done 2 years back or 3 years back. So within this period, there must be some emerging issues, so many new developments might have taken. So according to the new developments, you can add some more parameters or some more variable for your study. Then you can say that, yes, these were the parameters or variables adopted by the previous researcher. But in my work, I have added this one, like that you can say. So particularly when review of literature, I can say that till you make a presentation of your thesis, it is required. But the thing is, you identify the literature which is relevant to you, relevant to your topic. That is very important. Identifying the relevant literature is very much important. Or suppose if you feel, yes, this work is not that much enough for you, then you need not go from words to words. Just you can go through the abstract of the work. Suppose if you think this work is more related to your work, then you can go in a detailed way. So in that way, you can save time. Then, so you have to think yourself after certain time. Yes, because there is no end for review. Then you can keep on going for literature review. But at one stage, you have to identify these are the variables we have to adapt for the research work. So in that way, you have to think whether it is relevant or not relevant to your work. So in that way, you can avoid the wastage of time. Then you can also avoid the confusion also. You got clear, or again I have confused you? That clear?
No, sir. How we document it? Suppose I have new areas, I have old areas, I have very old areas and semi-new areas, and then this becomes a total chaos. How to?
That is what I'm saying. So when you present the literature review in chronological order, you can give normally the new one will come, the latest one. Then the older will go the previous year or the before that year, like that. In that way, it can go. Or on the basis of the idea also you can classify the work. So on the basis of the literature ideas, you can group it on the basis of the group also you can present.
So can you tell us an example of that? How to group that?
Pardon?
One example.
Can you give your research topic? Then I can say.
I am doing on stress management among IT people in Bangalore.
Okay, right. All right. So when you take the stress, so depending on the type of stress, can we classify the people? So so what type of stress people are facing?
The job stress, family stress, different kinds.
I come to your topic. So when you take the stress,
can I give?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, this is my topic also.
Oh,
management.
Yes.
IT sector. So what I actually did is grouping. As you said, grouping you can do as age-wise. That means a fresher, a middle, and a higher order. CEO level, you can take what is the stress level. Okay. Middle age or middle level of managers, like that. Take a stress level. So like that, you have to make a group. According to that, you can assist. In my case, I took middle, higher order, and lower order. Or otherwise, you can take as a fresher. Like that, you can group the people.
Oh,
I hope it will be helpful.
Idea. Yes. So you can classify the work on the basis of the group of the people. That is I am saying.
Yeah.
So you classify the work according to the group. That means normally there might be some differences between the aged people and the younger generation on the basis of the stress faced by them. So accordingly, you can classify. This is one idea. Then when you take the review of literature, so normally you want to only review the work related to the industry, that means IT. In some other, for example, in the manufacturing sector, in other sector also, there must be some work on stress management. So suppose if you collected literature from various sectors, then on the basis of sector wise also you can classify. For example, when you take IT, it is a service sector. And suppose if you take the manufacturing or pharmaceutical or something, on the basis of that also you can classify. So there is no strict rule. The thing is, there must be some basis for classification. Then as a researcher, you must be able to convince, this is the basis I adopted. Then what is the reason I adopted? That you should say. That's why we say that before you give the literature review, straight away you don't go. So at least you give the background about the literature review. Then when you present the literature review by giving a brief discussion or background, then the reader can easily understand. That is the idea.
Thank you. Huh? Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay. Just now I come to the slide again. I think this quotes created more discussion. Okay, then just one more. The common facts of today are the products of yesterday's research only. Because, so whatever we are enjoying today is because of the yesterday's research work. That means previous research work. Therefore, in the literature review, we should acknowledge the people who have done the research previously. Okay, I think I come to the last part. I think this is the time for a discussion. If the participant want to ask any questions, I will feel happy to answer the question. And just I want to share one idea of Stephen Covey. So he says that the admission of ignorance is often the first step in our education. So that means, so before we proceed in the research, we have to accept our ignorance. and accordingly we should show some interest to learn new thing, learn new thing. So no researcher knows everything. So from the scratch like that we have to start, and when you start learning new things, then at one stage you will become a master in the particular area. Okay, right. Organizers?
Sir?
Can we go for a discussion?
Sir, sure, sir.
Okay, ma. Yes,
Dear
yes.
participants, if you have more queries, you can interact the resource person.
Right.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir,
Yes.
actually, it is very informative session, and I have one small query, sir. What is the exact difference between review of related literature and review of related studies? In what way we can use review of related studies, and in what way we can use review of related literature? Thank you, sir.
So you talk about a review of related study.
Literature and review of related studies.
Okay. So what is the difference between study and literature? Is there any difference between study and literature?
That I am asking, sir.
Okay, actually there is no difference between study and literature. So the study of one individual in the previous year will become the literature for the researcher of this year. Okay, for example, one person, assume one person did stress management in pharmaceutical industries 2 years back. Suppose if a person currently doing stress management on the IT industries now, then for him, the study of the previous researcher is the source of literature, like this only. There is no difference between the related study and related literature. So sometimes we used the term interchangeably. That is correct. There is no difference between study and literature. So when the study is completed, then that will become the literature for the future researcher. Okay. So now your study, after making your thesis, submitting the thesis, will become a source of literature for the another generation, another new researcher. Got?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other query from participant?
Good afternoon, sir.
Please.
Sir, it is very wonderful session, sir. And this you are talking is very useful to our research, sir. But I have one question, sir. My topic is use pattern of electronic resources, medical students and faculty members in Andhra Pradesh, sir. I selected prominent medical college in Andhra Pradesh, 3. That is the RIMS College, Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences. The total population is the 3,000, sir, including the staff and students. So I categorize two stages, sir. Stage 1 is faculty members and stage 2 is the students, sir. So which sampling technique is more useful to my research, sir? Can I take whole population for studies, sir?
Actually, for you, the random sampling is the best method because you have a complete list of the faculty members as well as the students. When you have the complete list, you can go for random sampling. That will be perfect for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you. Any other?
Sir, thank you, sir, for your insightful session. Sir, how many students required for the survey research?
Which one?
How many students required for survey research, sir? Can you enlighten me, sir?
So actually, when there is no details about the complete list of the respondent, then for you, the non-probability sampling is a better one. Non-probability sampling. Then depending on your pilot study, Nowadays, people use one formula that is available, I think, in the research methodology book by one popular author. The formula is available now. You can apply that formula. Normally, when the population is infinite, then 350 to 360, that is enough. That is
350
enough.
to 360.
360 enough.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because too much of sample size also will give you trouble. Therefore, I think 350 to 360 is enough for you.
Yeah, fine, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you for
Please.
your informative session, sir.
Thank you, ma.
Sir, I have one doubt about the monograph, sir.
Yes.
You say about monograph, okay? Yes, sir. Sir,
Monograph.
If the author of our reference, the article which is related to the topic in the next year, the same author will write the relevant topic is a monograph, sir?
Oh, just a minute. I am not getting your question, please.
If I referred one author,
Okay.
the same author writing another article about the relevant topic.
Oh, actually, the unauthorred bibliography means, so this is the collection of bibliography. For example, conference proceedings like that, the library also maintains a collection of research work done on a particular theme of work, on a particular study. You take a study. The advantage of the unauthorred bibliography is they will give a brief summary about that, about the work. So that gives you scope for further reading.
Okay,
so you want to, that is about the unauthorred bibliography or monograph you ask?
Monograph, I asked.
Yes, monograph. So monograph is, so it is a particular theme. Suppose if a series of articles are published by one person, then at one stage, after some times, they can compile it and can publish like a book. So since it is related to a particular theme, we call it as monograph.
Okay, it is same topic. Yes, sir?
Yes, same. That means not a topic, about same theme, I am saying. Theme.
Okay.
For example, I gave example. For example, how the vitamin D gives benefit to the health. So in this, he can write so many articles on this. For example, if you take the coronavirus, if a fellow is writing more number of articles on coronavirus, then when it is compiled, then that will become a monograph.
Okay, sir.
You got point?
Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, sometimes we will go as a working paper or monograph. What is the difference between monograph and working paper?
That is actually working papers. When the more working papers are compiled, so then that will become monograph. What do you mean by working papers? So when a person is writing a series of articles on a particular theme, then you say it is a working paper, no?
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Please.
Sir, whether I'm understanding the monograph correct or not, just one example, I will say it is correct or not. Can you please tell me, sir? So monograph, you told that compile of all the works in the same theme. Okay.
Yes.
So my topic is stress management. So stress management related to IT sector, related to automobile company, related to banking sector. Like that, if I write the article, so I have to compile and I have to give as a monograph, monobibliograph. Is correct? What I'm understanding?
It is correct. So here you are differing only on the sector. But the theme is on stress management only, on stress only.
Yes.
Since it is related to stress only, When you compile it, then that will become monograph.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So what I'm understanding is correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sir, another one doubt, sir.
Please.
When we include monograph, sir, in the research.
So, suppose assume there are different work on the contains in the monograph. So you can select the work that is related to your topic. Then, like the other literature, you can review that. Then you can make presentation in your thesis. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right.
After bibliography, we include monograph, sir.
Yes, no. In your review of literature, you
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, what is the difference between the endnote and citation?
Endnotes and
citation.
Citation.
Yes, yes.
So citations when you quote on this, normally in the references you will give now. You will give.
Sir.
References 1 and 2 like this. And in the endnote, people give a brief summary about the work reviewed. That means the work cited by you. At the end of the study, that means at the end of the research article, they give endnote.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I have another question that in the survey study, how many samples should have collected a researcher?
In the survey?
Yes, sir, survey study.
Survey study, sir, actually when you conduct the survey at national level, you need not go beyond 500. So maximum we can fix 500. Because
okay,
then when you conduct at district level or taluk level, then 350 to not exceeding 400. I think that will be better.
Sir, I have a state level survey, so 500 is enough, sir.
Yes, you need not exceed 500.
And
sir,
sir,
another thing is,
sir.
So when
Yes.
we decide that means sample, we have to also consider the length of the questionnaire also. Suppose if your studies containing a detailed questionnaire, then you can minimize the sample size. When the questionnaire is 2 to 3 pages only, then you can increase the numbers. Because there are so many factors affect the size of the sample. Just number
Exactly.
Suppose if the study is a depth one, detailed one, then you can reduce the number. Suppose if your study is not detailed one, then you have to cover more sample.
Sir, I have this stratified sampling. I am using this stratified sampling.
Yes, that is better. You can classify the area into different strata. Then you can select sample. That is better.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Sir, in a literature review, you told that current ROIs will arrange. If I will arrange in current ROIs and also division like foreign and national and international.
That is also you can do. For example, first you can classify foreign, then India. Then after that you can present in chronological order also.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, participants. Thank you, participants. Now may I request Dr. Menagar Madam to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the organizing team, I thank Professor Panjalan for the highly fruitful and interactive session. Thank you, sir. And I also thank the participant for their active participation. My sincere thanks to our HOD sir and Dr. G. Vinayamurthy sir for giving this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Professor, thank you very much.
Professor Gurumati sir and other department faculty are giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you for your valuable session, Professor. Highly informative.
Thank you very much, sir, for good session, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we wind up?
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.